want to recognize the team because we all stand here as individuals, but behind us, there are countless volunteers who work night and day to ensure that we stand in this house. So I want to acknowledge His Worship the Mayor, Andrew Swaby, Mayor of KCSC. My other councillor, Jesse James Clark. The leadership of the constituency, have a constituency secretary who has been in that position for at least 40 years. And every time we come here, Madam Speaker, I say we have to find a way for the secretaries and the drivers to ensure that they get pensions. They work behind the scenes, and we appreciate in here what they do. I know the public may not understand it, but it is a career to ensure that we are here, and we have to look at the service and the terms and conditions of their service so that when they retire, they can retire in comfort. One of my constituents celebrates his birthday today, the man from Price Lane, and I have to big up Keith Brown. All right? And for all the other workers and supporters in my constituency, I say thank you for your continued support, and I will continue to lead with integrity, accountability, and transparency. Madam Speaker, late last year, and Maxine is my mentor, and I learned my politics from her. And at Church Brother, at every occasion, I acknowledge the role she has played in where I am today. Madam Speaker, our country was hit by the catastrophic Hurricane Melissa, one of the most destructive natural disasters in living memory. The trauma and grief are still with us. I want to offer condolences to the families of our 45 brothers and sisters who were officially recorded as having lost their lives. Yes, we are resilient people, but for many of us, the weight of that trauma, that loss, and that grief still sits heavily on our hearts. In addition to those who lost loved ones, hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans lost their homes, their livelihoods, their livestock, everything they owned. And for them, the crisis is still not over. For many Jamaicans, months after the hurricane, it is still a daily battle to find food. Some don't have the money to rebuild their homes. They can't find a zinc, they can't find a board, they can't find the blocks. Some of them are still sleeping in their cars. Melissa affected the entire country, but she took direct aim at the western parishes and inflicted the most damage there. And it's not just an economic toll. Many become anxious when rain set up to fall right now. We stand in solidarity, Madam Speaker, with all of those who are still recovering from Hurricane Melissa. The alternate side of this disaster was the massive contributions of relief and recovery support from Jamaicans at home and abroad, locally and in the diaspora. In addition, we thank the overseas missions, the international partners whose support made a real difference in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane. There are too many to name right now. But for those who, some sent a barrel, others made donations, people volunteered their time. Jamaica appreciates you and appreciates the contribution you have played in ensuring a recovery. And it was us, neighbors helping neighbors, volunteers manning undersourced shelters, doctors, police, firefighters, soldiers, and nurses who, away from their families, went out in the hurricane to look after their fellow Jamaicans. And it was we, the Jamaican people, who after the hurricane cleared roads with our hands and with machetes, helped each other to clean up their yards, provided water, tin food, toilet paper, or whatever little we had to share. Madam Speaker, ultimately, Hurricane Melissa revealed what the true spirit of the collective Jamaican people, the loving, the giving, the selflessness, motivated to help their fellow citizens and to get the job done. This proves again that the Jamaican people have the resilience to go through the biggest of hurricanes, and we now blow with it. Not learning. We have faced adversity, and we found our footing. The question before us now is whether our institutions rose to the moment and whether the budget really reflects that urgency. Madam Speaker, we are now past the relief stage and into rebuilding. I note the Prime Minister's announcement of the establishment of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. But NARA is still without a legal foundation. No legislation has been brought to Parliament to formally establish it. And the public still doesn't have a clear picture of how it will operate and when it will become functional. Similarly, I would say in light of the disruption in the West and the rest of the island, the $10 billion roof grant program, while important, is simply not enough to meet the needs that exist. Hurricane Melissa devastated Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, huge parts of St. James, Hanover and Trelawney, but also affected other parishes, St. Anne, Clarendon, Manchester, and others, who experienced significant damage. Almost 5 months since Melissa, there are still hundreds of Jamaicans who go to sleep with no proper shelter. What is the plan for them? Madam Speaker, now let me turn to the estimates of expenditure. And I would want to start with something simple. A budget is a government's clearest statement of its priorities. So when I listened to the minister's presentation, it did not address the scale of the disaster we face. It read like a budget being business as usual, which cannot be right when there are thousands of Jamaicans who lost their homes, their businesses, farms, livestock, and everything that they work for. I want to turn to look at the revenue measures announced by the government. And I particularly, before I get into the economics, I want to start with the people, because that is where the conversation belongs. There is Miss Margaret in Sablamar, who lost her entire shop in Melissa. She has been borrowed to restock, but she's not back to where she started. There is James in Montego Bay who runs a small transport business. His vehicle was damaged. He's still paying to fix it, but he's not yet back on his feet. Madam Speaker, there are hundreds more who were affected by the hurricane who are not back to where they were before. They will now pay more on their grocery bills when they go to the supermarket, because the government has chosen to impose a new tax package of $18 billion. Madam Speaker, increasing the burden on ordinary Jamaicans, average Jamaicans, through higher taxes is not the right call at this time. And we on this side do not support it. If we were at the wicket, we would have played a different shot. When an economy is contracting, meaning it is slowing down, raising taxes is a pro-cyclical response. What that means in practice is that you are applying pressure in the same direction as the problem rather than against it. The economy is already shrinking. The tax base has weakened, first by 10 years of low growth under this administration, and then by the hurricane. Businesses are earning less, households are spending less, and the government's chosen response is to extract more revenue from an already financially stressed population. That does not sustainably address the fiscal challenge. You are compounding the economic problem. The more appropriate response in these circumstances is what is termed countercyclical. And what does that mean? You push against the slowdown in the economy. You stimulate activity and create the conditions for the tax base to recover organically. A growing economy generates more revenue over time than any package of new taxes that are imposed on the people who are already struggling to stay afloat after the hurricane. And beyond the timing, Madam Speaker, there's a real question of who carries the burden of these tax packages. The measures which were announced by the minister all fall disproportionately on those with lower incomes, including the elderly, the very people who are still struggling to recover from Melissa. Madam Speaker, I want to address the 10 billion levy on sugary drinks specifically, because the government has justified it as a public health measure. And that justification deserves examination. And let me say from the outset, we share the concern about the impact of sugar on the population and how that is impacting our healthcare system. The level of sugar consumption is a genuine concern and deserves serious policy attention. However, where we part with the government is what is being prescribed as the solution to that problem. If the primary concern is about reducing sugar outcomes, the government has more effective tools that can be used to do so. The government can mandate local manufacturers and importers to reformulate their products so that sugar content is reduced in those products, and provide a time frame by which those manufacturers and importers do so, because it will obviously require some time to reformulate their what they produce. This would reduce the amount of sugar people consume, and the government can do that. Now, I want to look at the assumptions behind this tax. The government is imposing the taxes on an assumption that there would be no reduction in the consumption of these drinks. The government anticipates to get $10 billion from consumption alone, which means that they do not believe that there would be health benefits from this new tax. Because if there was, there would be a reduction in consumption. And the reality that we find, Madam Speaker, is that the persons who consume these drinks do so not because they're not concerned about the sugar content, but the reality is that the alternatives are outside of their reach, whether it be natural juices, coconut water, or other things. So many of them are doing it not because they have a choice, but quite frankly, given their disposable income, they do not have a choice. Right? And without providing options which are healthy at a reasonable cost, all this tax will do is add a financial burden to those persons, many of whom are at the lowest end of the economic ladder. So, Madam Speaker, we do not believe this measure, apart from raising revenues, will have any desired impact on reducing consumption and increasing the health outcomes. The government also has other options. The government is one of the largest providers through the school feeding program to children. The government needs to ensure that what it provides meets the adequate and proper nutritional content for students. Many of the, whether it's the cherry malt or the bulla or what is provided, is not consistent with reducing sugar. So if we want to meet the health outcomes, let us start as government with how we formulate the products that are sent to our schools. And we would have the desired outcome of reducing sugar in the level of sugar that is consumed. I want to turn to the environmental levy. The name of the tax suggests that the cash flows from it will be directed towards environmental production, towards protecting our coastlines, our watersheds, our forests, the very natural infrastructure that Melissa reminded us we cannot afford to neglect. But the money goes straight into the consolidated fund. None of it is ring-fenced for specific environmental purposes. So we have a levy collecting money in the name of the environment, but it is not dedicated to the protection of the environment. It's simply another revenue source. And as with the sugary drinks tax,
Tai Chi walking is more than just a workout. It's a fresh start for menopausal women. We start this Monday. Ladies over 180
Sorry about that. We can't
pounds,
make the ads
if you want to become
get to this. It
unrecognizable
will
by summer, we're launching a beginner-friendly
copyright
Tai
my
Chi walking program for women.
copyright
With
the
just
thing.
7 minutes a day, you'll safely firm your body, calm your mind, and start burning stubborn belly fat. In 1 week,
because the cost of the costs are going to drive up prices in the economy, and the burden is going to be felt by those.
I had to remove it because of the ads. Sorry about that.
In examining the package that was tabled by the government, what I only can come to a conclusion on is that they recognized there was a revenue gap and they had to find the easiest way to fill it. The measures are not calibrated to protect the most vulnerable. They are not designed around the specific circumstances of a post-hurricane economy. They are simply revenue measures which impact the poor the most. I want to turn to the digital services tax because the minister's presentation on Tuesday left us with more questions than answers. When this measure was first announced, the reasonable assumption shared by many persons was that the tax would apply to subscriptions, for example, Netflix, Spotify, those streaming and digital services. That was the natural reading of a digital services tax and what obtains in many other jurisdictions that have implemented it. But from what the minister said on Tuesday, it appears that the intention is different. It seems that the tax will apply to goods purchased online from platforms like Amazon, Temu, and Shein. Now, Madam Speaker, if that is indeed what is being proposed, then a serious question arises. Because that government 2 years ago made a very deliberate policy decision to raise the threshold on online purchases, increasing the custom duty exemption from 50 to 100 US and from $500 to $1,000 for persons traveling into the country. That was a conscious choice to reduce the cost burden to Jamaicans, and it was met with huge applause. Now, the digital services tax seems to be working against that relief. This inconsistency needs to be explained. You cannot, on the one hand, increase the threshold to give consumers a break, and then on the other hand, you take back what you have just extended. And so the minister said in her presentation that local retailers are feeling the pressure from online shopping. So the obvious question is, if that was the case, why then did the government 2 years ago increase the threshold to provide the relief, to now take it back from the very persons who we are providing relief? And beyond the inconsistency, there is a practical question of how this is going to be implemented. How are the taxes going to be collected? Who is going to be responsible for remitting it? What is the mechanism for enforcement across hundreds and thousands of transactions from foreign platforms? The minister owes the House an explanation. She has been here twice, and I must say, having spoken twice, it is as confusing as it was before. As to exactly so, I expect the minister, when she comes in her closing, to give a clear and complete explanation of how the measure will actually work and how it will be implemented. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about the NHT and specifically about the 11.4 billion extraction from the NHT each year. The government has been extracting money from the NHT for over a decade. Yes, we acknowledge it was the PMP that introduced this measure in 2013. And I believe, absolutely, and I'm going to give you the context, because you spoke about the 20-year rows who you wanted to give a historic perspective in. But I notice whenever you talk about the economy, you don't want to talk about what happened between 2007 and 11. You conveniently leave that out. So when you were talking, you have added 15 minutes to my presentation because I am going to give the perspective and I'm going to give the context. When we came to office in 2012, we inherited an economy on the precipice of collapse. And before that, let us recall. Member from East Central, St. James. You know, I consider him my father, so you have to listen to me when we talk, all right? But before that, Madam Speaker, we need to recall that the economy experienced 14 consecutive quarters of negative growth between 2007 and 2010, only to achieve a mere 1.5% growth in 2011. In 2011, the JLP abandoned and effectively ended the 27-month standby agreement with the IMF. And when I say abandoned, you know, like how Tessa keep a school, and you're supposed to show up. Them run going at the yard and hide and never take the test. Because of how badly the JLP dealt with the IMF agreement, Jamaica was effectively shut out of the international capital markets. Our international partners had lost confidence in the country's financial management. We inherited that situation and had to renegotiate the IMF agreements from a position of considerable weakness. That agreement was one of the most demanding fiscal programs ever imposed on any country borrowing from the fund. There was a primary surplus target set of 7% that Jamaica was 7.5% that Jamaica was required to maintain, which was among the highest ever demanded by an IMF agreement. In fact, it was higher than what was demanded of Greece during its own debt crisis. That is the mountain we were given to climb. The NHT withdrawal at that time was one part of a broader package of measures designed to meet that primary surplus requirement. It was not a decision taken lightly or casually. It was a hard choice made in extraordinary ordinary circumstances with the explicit understanding that it was temporary. No. The same reason that drove the NHT withdrawal in 2013 is the same reason that drove the broader package of revenue measures that had to be implemented at the time, including new taxes. We had no other choice but to impose taxes to get to the revenue that the IMF required as part of its program. It was, Madam Speaker, what they left us in 2011 that required us to take the steps that we had to in 2012. The hard choices, and I want to look at this chart, because the minister used it on Tuesday and said she wanted to explain to the 20-year rules, right? And so yes, it is your chart, and I want to use it to explain to the 20-year rules why those taxes had to be imposed from 2012 to 2016, 2015. But I also, there's been this, I don't know if I can say lie, about no new tax for 10 years. We've been hearing this misrepresentation that there's been no new tax for 10 years. But then I looked on the minister's chart. So what is in 2016? What is in 2017? So, Damian, when you go back to Ty Dixon, I want you to ask your constituent, what can go so? Madam Speaker, the hard choices that we had to make have worked. The PMP established Jamaica's macroeconomic fundamentals under the leadership of then Prime Minister, the most honorable Portia Simpson Miller, and Minister of Finance, Dr. Peter Phillips. They restored the confidence of our international partners. They put this country back on a credible fiscal path. The economic stability that this government inherited, they benefited from what we built from 2012. Now, Madam Speaker, if we're going to have a history lesson, we must just do it honestly. We can't pretend that everything on this side has been great, but give the context. Don't come here and give a half story. Leave out your term from 27 to 2011, like never happened. That we just get up in 2012 and inherited some better roses. Give the proper context so that the same 20-year-olds we are talking to will know. Tell the people the truth.
The reduction of poverty, the reduction of unemployment. Let's go back to the 90s.
The internet, Madam Speaker, I need your protection.
Members,
Madam Speaker, the international community recognized what the PNP did during that period. The then IMF Managing Director, Christine Lagarde, and I quote, "I want to pay tribute to Minister Phillips and his colleagues for what has been a clear change of course,
That's right.
making the hard choices and successfully completing 4 reviews. We never run from it. We never go into the schoolyard and say we not take the test. We knew it was difficult. We faced it. We knew it was painful, but we knew it was in the best interest of the country to do so. So I now want to come back to the NHT withdrawal. And I want to remind the House of how the then JLP opposition responded. They didn't simply disagree with the measure, Madam Speaker. They campaigned against it loudly and relentlessly, framing it as an attack on the working class, framing it as an assault on the poor, framing it as a betrayal of the Jamaican people. The person who was the most vocal was the Prime Minister himself. So I want to read what the Prime Minister said in 2015. Right? And this is not artificially, intelligently created. This is the real thing. And I quote, "The JLP does not support the use of NHT funds for purposes other than those for which they were intended. The NHT mandate is clear. Contributors' money held in trust at NHT is to be used for the purposes of the promotion of housing and community development. The JLP has always stood in the vanguard where stewardship of NHT funds are concerned. We are the ones who have always defended NHT and protected the interests of contributors, not the least of which are those thousands of Jamaicans who have been making contributions to the NHT and are yet to access a benefit." Where can I find that person? Madam Speaker, I'm going to star you more because more. The matter was taken to court.
By an affiliate.
They didn't go up front, but somebody went up front.
Yeah, man.
And they lost.
Yeah.
Now, Madam Speaker, after the JLP formed the government in 2016, you would have expected that NHG withdrawals would have ended based on how strident their position was. The so-called betrayal of the Jamaican people that they had fought against. But every year since, without interruption, 10 years of collecting the money, they once vehemently opposed. Now, recently I heard the Prime Minister, maybe last week, justifying the continued extraction by arguing that the funds are being directed to other national priorities. So I want to ask the Prime Minister one question. When the PMP had to do it between 2013 and 2016, were we not also directing those funds to national priorities? Were we not also using that money to meet the primary surplus that kept Jamaica out of default? Were we not using it to restore the confidence of the very international partners whose support the government relies on today? What exactly was different? You have found your voice now. I'm glad you found your voice now. I'm glad you found your voice now. Because I don't know which Andrew Holness I'm talking to. Whether it's the one now or the one in 2015.
Do you think all dishwashing soaps are the same? Try Dawn and discover its grease cleaning power. Dawn remove.
Give me a second, guys. Just wait until the ads finish.
was different? What was different now than it was in 2013? The only thing that was different was you were on this side and we were on that side. Now, Madam Speaker, I want to turn.
No, listen, allow him to talk. Allow him to talk. Nobody's going to all of the talking here will listen. All the talking here will listen. Don't interrupt you. Don't interrupt.
I never expected you to get so agitated. You're going to speak next week Thursday, no? And we will listen to you next week Thursday. And I don't intend to enumerate all the things over the last 10 years. You want me to? Okay, all right. Madam Speaker, I want to address something about the framing of this budget and how the revenue measures have been presented to the public. Yes, the country has suffered a major catastrophe through Hurricane Melissa, which has damaged the country and impacted the government revenues. But we need to look beyond that and go back to the last 2 years to see how the government has been balancing the budget. In the two previous consecutive years, the government securitized future revenues from the Norman Manley International Airport and the Donald Sanster Airport, raising over 70 billion in 23-24 and 60 billion in 24-25. What that meant is that they sold off 12 years in one case of future revenues and then 10 years of future revenues to ensure that give me a salary advance for the next 12 months. And you use the money for deal with the rent and all the other things. So when next month comes, you can't get another advance. So you have to go find something else. So this is next month. So having sold off the revenues of both airports, there is nothing more to say to meet the recurrent expenditures. So, Madam Speaker, those securitizations provided upfront cash that supported the budget of the day. So what this tells you is that long before Melissa, there was always a challenge for tax revenues organically to meet the expenses of the government. And so the government relied on these one-off transactions to balance the budget, something which was raised by the fiscal commissioner and has been raised as a risk going forward. And we have raised it as well, and we did for the last 2 years. So the gap between what the government was collected and needed and what it was spending was widening. Those pressures existed before Melissa came. Before Melissa came. And so it is important that there is a context explained of the challenges that this government has faced, particularly around growth and tax revenues. Now, they have been aggravated by the hurricane and made worse, but they existed long before. And we are not minimizing the impact that the hurricane has had on the country and the economy. But the Jamaican people need a context and an honest explanation as to the fiscal challenges that existed and that they existed long before Melissa hit our shores. Madam Speaker, I want to turn to what we would do differently. The government has looked at the revenue gap and has reached for the imposition of new taxes to fund the budget. And the continued drawdown of the NHT, 11.4 billion. We have looked at a similar gap, and we have determined an alternative way to fund the budget while balancing the lives of the Jamaican people. Madam Speaker, we have always said that compliance can bring in more revenues than simply raising new taxes. And I am recommending the implementation of an electronic invoicing system for the tax administration of Jamaica. The first source of this revenue would be this electronic invoicing system, which we estimate would generate an additional 8.6 billion in tax revenues. And I will explain how I came to that figure. Currently, and what this electronic invoicing does. So currently, when businesses make sales, they are required to upload their transaction records for verification by TAJ. The problem with the model is that the obligation to upload sits with the business, and there can be slippage. Not necessarily because businesses are deliberately evading the obligations, although that happens, but because it is a system where the seller is responsible for submitting the records. Transactions can go unrecorded, uploads can be incomplete, and there can be a gap between what was earned and what was reported. The electronic invoicing system changes that dynamic fundamentally. Rather than waiting for businesses to upload their records after the fact, the transaction data is captured and transmitted immediately to TAJ automatically at the point of sale. The government is no longer relying on voluntary compliance. The information flows directly and is matched automatically against what has been declared and remitted. The scope for under-collection shrinks considerably because the data is already there, verified and auditable, without the business having to do anything beyond completing the sale. We have looked at case studies in other parts of the world, in particular, the impact that electronic invoicing has had in Central and Latin America. In Mexico, where this has been implemented, declared revenues increased by 14% in the 3 years after the electronic invoicing system became mandatory. In Uruguay, VAT, which is the equivalent of our GCT, and corporate income tax collections rose by an estimated 3.7% when the system became compulsory. In Peru, taxable sales reported to the tax authority increased by 7% in the first year alone. Chile, which pioneered this model in Latin America, saw over 8 million electronic tax documents being processed monthly at the point of maturity, covering more than a quarter of all tax documents issued in the country. The pattern is consistent wherever this has been implemented. Better data means better compliance. And better compliance means more revenues from the same tax rates without asking anyone to pay more than what they owe. The experience in Chile and other countries that have followed a similar model demonstrates that the revenue gains from better compliance are achievable, and that we in Jamaica have every reason to pursue this path. In the 26-27 fiscal year, the government is projecting GCT receipts of $318 billion and SCT, special consumption tax receipts, of $112 billion, a combined total of $430 billion in these indirect tax inflows. We are conservatively estimating that 2% of that total, and I'm saying conservative because I'm looking at the fiscal year 26-27 and accepting that you may have some growing pains with the implementation of this system. Although the case studies across the region point to much higher impact when it is implemented. So we're being conservative, that a 2% of the 430 would yield 8.6 billion. And that is money. This is not new taxes. This is money that the government is entitled to collect. I must tell you, Madam Speaker, about a month or so ago, I was particularly caught by a story in the media. The the TAJ indicated that 11 used car dealers were brought to court and were found to have liabilities of $4 billion. 11 billion, not million. 11 used car dealers were brought to court and found to have liabilities of $4 billion. It indicates, Madam Speaker, that compliance with greater enforcement can fill the gap that we are looking to do so with new taxes. And we need to provide the tools and the technology to TAJ to give them the authority. And this only works when it is mandatory. So there may be legislative changes that are needed to ensure that we can collect the full gamut of taxes that are out there. Madam Speaker, the next second revenue initiative we are proposing is the establishment of a digital nomad program. And I'll explain what that is. That is a special legal permit allowing remote workers, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to live and work in Jamaica while employed by a company or clients anywhere in the world. Every year, 4 million tourists visit Jamaica. We have the brand, we have the climate, we have the culture. And we also have the connectivity infrastructure that those remote workers are looking for. What we do not have as yet is a structured program that allows them to stay longer, to work from here and spend their money right here in Jamaica. So we have looked at the case studies across the region. Barbados started it. There are about 6 Caribbean countries that have implemented it. And we are proposing a fee of $2,000 for a 12-month period. And we have estimated of the 4 million tourists that we would be able to get 5,000 of these digital nomads coming to stay in Jamaica in the first year. That would generate in the fees alone approximately $1.5 billion. But the fees only tell part of the story. The real story is when they come here, when they stay here, the restaurants, the Airbnbs, the hotels, the villas, the concerts, the food that they spend. That is the impact. Barbados estimates that each digital nomad spends on average $55,000 when they're there in Barbados. Yes, 55,000 US, right? I wouldn't be as optimistic as that. But if I estimate that in Jamaica, an average 6-month stay could yield a spend of 25,000 US, which is about $4,000 a month. Jamaica could realize the economic benefit of 125 million US dollars or 19.5 billion Jamaican dollars. No, we are late to the game. Barbados did it immediately after COVID and took first mover advantage. But we do have many advantages which other countries in the region don't have. And a structured program can yield significant benefits to the people of Jamaica. In Barbados, in the first 10 months alone, the program attracted 2,500 applicants. It contributed over $100 million US dollars in broader economic activity in that country. We have a lot more that we can offer. We just need to put in place the framework and promote Jamaica as a location for digital nomads. Madam Speaker, I want to look at where some of the other areas that we intend to get some revenues from. And there are some targeted transfers from some specific public bodies that we would look at. Public bodies that have demonstrated surplus capacity that will not have any negative direct impact on their operations. The government is projecting for this coming year to withdraw $9 billion from the Bank of Jamaica. We would take an additional $1 billion to bring the total to 10. Now I want to make a distinction. This is not the NIR. These are surpluses that are generated from the profits of the BOJ. We also looked at other public bodies who have surpluses, and I looked at the FCJ with a net surplus of 3.14 billion and profits of 5.15. And we would do a transfer of $1 billion from there. So, Madam Speaker, some of these institutions have demonstrated with their performance these surpluses, which, if put to the central government, would not affect their core operations. Madam Speaker, I'm coming back to the NHT withdrawal. We have said so before, and we are committed to ending the annual extraction of $11.4 billion from the NHT. The NHT was established for one purpose: to provide affordable and sturdy housing solutions for Jamaicans, particularly for those at the low and middle ends of the income scale. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, with hundreds of homes damaged and destroyed across the country, this mandate has never been more urgent. This is not the moment to be pulling money out of the financing of housing development. It actually is the moment that we need to be putting more in. And so for us, ending the extraction and giving the NHT the capacity to do what it was created to do. And this goes, Madam Speaker, beyond just the mandate. When you invest in housing at scale, the economic benefits extend well beyond just the house itself. Construction workers get employment. The hardware suppliers will get orders. The truckers will get work. Money begins to circulate within communities. And that circulation of money will trigger and help to deal with the recovery that the country needs. The economic multiplier post-disaster economy, it is one of the most effective, stimulative investments a government can make. So that 11.4 billion deployed through the NHT into housing construction does far more for this economy than when it is diverted into the general consolidated fund. So, Madam Speaker, we would end the NHT drawdown and ensure that the funds go to those who have been most affected by the hurricane and those Jamaicans who struggle, work hard, and cannot find a house to buy. We have also looked at the expenditure side of the budget, and we have identified one specific deferral that would save $2 billion. The Airports Authority is projected, and this is interesting to note, the Airports Authority is projected to receive a transfer of 13 billion from central government. Now remember, the AAJ, those were the same entities where the government sold the future revenues to fund the current budget. And now, those same entities are receiving significantly higher support from central government. 13 billion, a figure much higher than has ever existed in any point in time. And because the revenues have been taken from the AAJ is now dependent on central government. The AAJ had earmarked $2 billion for the construction of a new corporate head office. We are proposing a deferral of that expenditure to the next fiscal year. So I want to now explain the impact of what our alternatives would be on our fiscal targets. So when you add it up, Madam Speaker, our alternatives create a revenue gap of approximately 17, and I'll go through this chart with you. We're removing 18 billion in taxes. We are projecting income of 8.6, 1.2 from just the fees from the digital nomad program. We still be left with a deficit of just over 8 billion. We will seize the NHT withdrawals and the two transfers, which account for 2 billion. So we end up with a negative of 17 billion. I indicated a reduction in the transfer to the airport authority, which takes 2 billion away. So we would still have a net deficit of $15 billion. $15 billion. The additional borrowing which we would fund from the issuance of treasury bills. And the interest expense for the fiscal year would increase by $0.94 billion. The additional borrowing would raise our projected debt to GDP ratio to approximately 66.14%, up from the projected 65.7%, a difference of 0.44 of 1%. So, Madam Speaker, yes, there are hard choices, but in a hurricane where people are struggling and you have a choice, do you impose 18 billion taxes on people who are struggling, or you find a way to fund it, which does not impact your debt dynamics significantly? And we do so in a responsible way. It's important to note the government is already borrowing $247 billion. And we have shown our proposals vis-a-vis the JLP's proposals. And I'm going to go into the detail of that. Right? But the difference is not significant or material. And then let's look at the difference.
No, listen, man, leave the man that can talk. It's not your time. It's not your time. Allow Julia to
Come on, we're making better choice.
Next week is
For the current situation.
The only thing I would encourage you to do, don't talk for 5 hours again. All right? All right. Because last year it keep us for 5 hours. All right? Now, when we look at the impact of our proposals versus theirs, it moves our debt to GDP ratio by 0.44 of 1%. 0.44 of 1%. Now, Madam Speaker, we have to balance the books while balancing the lives of people. For the people in Darliston and Betteltown, they need a break, and White House. For your people in Russia, they can't take no more taxes right now. We have to ease the pressure for them. Madam Speaker, I now want to turn my attention to how the path ahead. Because the reality, we have had low growth for the last 10 years, notwithstanding external shocks. And even when you recover from the current Hurricane Melissa, the government's own projections are for 1% growth after 2029. You know, 1% growth cannot generate the tax revenues that we need to provide the services that the country needs. So I want to now look at how we can actually grow the economy, improve our tax revenues, restore the base so that we don't have to impose taxes on people. The immediate priority has to be restoring Jamaica's productive capacity to at least the levels that existed before Hurricane Melissa. But that must be the floor, not the ceiling. Recovery must be the starting point, not the destination. And any government that presents recovery as an achievement in itself is setting an unacceptably low bar for what the country can and should become. As I said, when you look at the government's own fiscal policy paper, after the recovery period of around growth up to 2029, the economy settles back down to 1%. The numbers are right there. So, Madam Speaker, what will we do differently to ensure that we can achieve growth? And I first want to start with the issue of energy. Because Jamaica, and I don't know whether we'll find oil or not, but there are some things within which we have control over. When we were last at the Wicked Philip, we had set a target of generating 50% of our energy from renewable sources. It was then, by 2030. We're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that, not because of Melissa, not because of COVID, but quite frankly, just bad management on their part. When we issued in 2013 the request for a proposal, that led to a build-out in 2016. It took that government 8 years to issue the next request for proposal. 8 years. Persons were selected in 2024. It will take them 3 years or so, or more, because they have to look for the financing, they have to negotiate their private power purchase agreements, and they have to build out their infrastructure. So we're not going to see the impact of more renewables on the grid till probably 27 or 28. Now, we are faced with the prospect of oil prices of over $100 and going up. And while we can't control what takes place in the Middle East, we have control over what we can do here. And quite frankly, this government's record is poor. Energy costs in Jamaica are among the highest in the region and the world, averaging about US 40 cents per kilowatt hour. When we were last there, it was around 23 cents per kilowatt hour. What we would do, we would ensure that large customers, those in the special economic zones, can contract power directly from generators. Now, why is this important? We cannot attract manufacturers, assembly type operations with the high energy costs that we have. And so our prospects of economic growth will not materialize unless we can bring the cost of energy down. And it can be done quicker in those SECs without changing any license. We would be separating dispatch, transmission, and distribution into a properly regulated structure with distinct licenses. We would disaggregate the electricity bills so that consumers can see what they're paying for, broken down into generation, transmission, distribution, system losses, and supply charges, because we believe transparency is important towards accountability. On renewables, we would scale up net billing, which you started, power wheeling. Yes, started by the member from East Kingston and Fort Ross. You're going to claim that one too? would scale up net billing and power wheeling for distributed generation, expand solar technology for residential use, and introduce more flexible service and payment options so that the transition to cleaner, cheaper energy is accessible to ordinary Jamaicans and not just those who can afford the upfront costs. We would also ensure that vulnerable populations, including senior citizens, benefit from discounted rates, because the burden of high energy costs falls heavily on those who are least able to afford it. And we would tackle the issue of energy theft in a real concentrated way. You know, the issue, I don't know that there's a great appreciation for the impact that this has on the bills that every JPS customer pays. It adds 20%. But there's a perception that the people who are consumers and not customers just do it because them just want T-flight. It's not so. They can't get a meter from JPS if their house is not wired. And the cost of wiring a house and getting your meter passed by the government electrical inspector is beyond the reach of the majority of people who find themselves in that position. So even if they want to change their status, and my experience has been, many of them want to. Them don't want police to run them down and pull down them throats. But they simply can't afford to wire the house and to get the meter. And that requires more intervention from the government. Something has been done, but really what was started is insufficient. And if you don't deal with it, you can't address the high energy costs that the country faces. And so we would take a comprehensive approach to dealing with the issue of energy theft and giving options to persons who want to make the decision to move from being consumers to being customers of JPS. Madam Speaker, we cannot build a productive, high-growth economy on a workforce that has been underprepared. And the emphasis must be on the foundations, literacy and numeracy at the primary and basic school levels. Because if we fail there, the investment that is required further up the education ladder is significant to compensate for students who leave primary school and can't read and write. One of the biggest complaints that members of the private sector have said is that their greatest impediment right now to growth is that they can't find people to work. They can't find people to work. Of course I'm saying it. Yeah. But I don't come to the same conclusion you may have. All right. But every one of us in here as MPs can identify many persons in our constituency who are looking for work. So that mismatch between the needs of employers who say they need people, and then on the other hand, constituents who are within 18 to 65 looking for work continues to widen. But we have to close the gap. We have to close that gap. Because importation cannot be the answer to that solution. And so the investments that need to be made at the basic and primary level have to be stepped up so that every child who leaves a primary school can read and write, can do little maths, the 3 R's. Because if that foundation is created, we will have enhanced productivity and greater revenue growth and economic prosperity. But we also need to ensure that children who have special needs are included and resources provided so that they can function in the education system. There are too many, particularly boys, where the teacher them say, why boy get so much trouble? You can't sit down at the class and listen. But they may be undiagnosed, right? They may be undiagnosed because the parents can't afford to get a private diagnosis, which costs $50,000 and up. If they register at MICA, which provides the service, is a 2-year waiting list. And so too many of our children who are not performing at the level that they need to are children who are undiagnosed. For that we get to the root of that. So, Madam Speaker, we're at the wicket. We would align education and training with industry needs in a deliberate and structured way, expanding technical and vocational training in the high demand sectors. Central to this is reforming heart. The institution has a
Make it a habit. 7 minutes of Tai Chi every morning, all the way for 1 month.
Sorry about that.
In 1 week,
The
you'll
ads.
feel better. In 2 weeks,
Cheese and peas. Sorry about that, guys. The ads I'm trying to, we don't know.
you look better.
Still a go on. We don't want the ad sketching of this.
In 1
Ow.
month,
Sure. Let me turn it down to the ads finish.
on upskilling its workers through tax credits on their hard contribution. So if you are a business and you are willing to invest in ensuring that your employees are upgraded, you are already contributing to that through the employer contribution. You will be getting a credit equivalent to what you are spending to upgrade your workforce. And we are doing that because we know Jamaica has a productivity problem. Our productivity continues to decline. And unless we attack the problem at the source by investing more in our workforce, we are going to continue to languish at the 1% growth rate, which has plagued this country for a long time. Madam Speaker, I want to look at growth without efficiency is not sustainable. And one of the clearest indictments of this government's management of the economy is the problem that you have faced in spending the capital budget. If we look at the last 3, and it may go back further, fiscal years, there has been significant underspend of the capital budget. Now, people might ask, why does that matter? Well, the greatest correlation between economic growth is how you spend your capital budget. So if you want to move beyond the 1%, you have to spend the capital budget. But year after year, the capital budget becomes underspent and reallocated to other sources. It's not a good thing. We have heard the issues of procurement. We have heard the issues of the public investment management system. We have also heard the issues that some of our contractors don't have the capacity to do the projects that we want them to do. But I would say to your Prime Minister, 10 years in, we must find a solution to this problem. And I want to say specifically to you, you have the right to organize the government the way you want as Prime Minister. But when I look at the capital budget for both central government and public bodies, 60 to 70% of the capital spend sits in 2 ministries, Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure and the Office of the Prime Minister, which are headed by you. Now, you might say you want to facilitate that on your own, but then it must become a bottleneck when all of those big agencies from NHT, Port Authority, UDC, factories, as public bodies and then central government, I'm urging you to rethink this, to look back at this structure. Because what you may have envisioned as making things flow quickly, it has not happened. And the evidence of it is the level of underspend of our capital budget. And if we're going to move the country forward, we have to unclog that bottleneck that is preventing those monies from being spent in the economy. The banking sector is another area where the efficiency of the broader economy can be improved and is directly connected to whether the private sector can actually drive the growth that we need. I took note on Tuesday, Madam Speaker, the minister re-announced an announcement made by the Bank of Jamaica governor of the implementation of the eKYC system, which was done in 2024. I have no issue with that system. It is actually a good thing and will actually improve competition within the banking sector. But June 24 was when the announcement was made. And Fitz not here. I believe it was right here at a standing finance committee meeting that the BOJ governor said that, of the eKYC system. But I expected minister to go further than just eKYC. Because while that is a start in enhancing competition within the banking sector, there is more that needs to be done to make the sector competitive and to ensure that monetary policy can work. So the government, through its ministries, agencies, and departments, is the single largest holder of deposits within the banking sector. Those deposits, by and large, remain with the two largest banks. And the government has to implement a system that ensures that there's a more transparent and competitive way in which all banks can access government deposits. What exists right now reinforces the status quo. Now, I see the cannabis man nodding in head. Not that I know that you smoke it, but you're an advocate for it. Right? But why is this important? We hear the BOJ governor complain every day. I reduce interest rates and the bank don't do nothing. The banks don't move. I take steps to bring down requirements, nothing happens. People in the public who have mortgages, car loans, see BOJ bring down them interest rates, no movement. And there will be no movement unless we can enhance competition within the banking sector. But the government can do some things. Putting in place a more effective system to deal with government deposits and the long-standing issue of addressing the asset tax. A commitment that was made on that side many years ago to remove it still exists. And so, if we want to unlock growth, if we want companies to be able to access funding at a reasonable rate, if we want businesses to expand, they must be able to access capital at reasonable rates. And so, while fiscal policy can work, the monetary policy is not, because the monetary transmission mechanism is clogged. And it is clogged because of the high concentration in the way the banking sector currently operates. The government can do more to facilitate competition in the sector, which will free resources that can go to economic growth and job creation. I want to turn to small and micro businesses. And there's a distinction that policy in this country has consistently failed to make. And it matters significantly and makes a difference. A person running a one-chair saloon, a hairdresser or a stylist, faces a fundamentally different set of obstacles from a company with 50 employees. But they're all lumped under the category of MSMEs. They're all treated as MSMEs. And I said, The M and the S, the micro and the small, need particular attention. In most cases, they are informal, but they face a particular paradox. They can grow beyond a particular size while remaining informal because there's no way they can get access to capital from a bank, from equity investors, from a loan company, unless their books are there. Nobody going to give them money unless they can provide audited financial statements. But they prefer to stay informal because they don't want to deal with TAJ. And that's just the reality. And so we have to find a way to incentivize particularly the M and the S to come into the formal system. And there are ways in which we can do that. We proposed a holiday where for new businesses, MSMEs, that once they file, which means they're coming into the formal system, they would not be required to pay taxes for the first 3 years of their operation. Now, you might say, I'm giving up revenue. But quite frankly, in the first 3 years, they don't really generate any profit. But the benefit you get is that you bring them into the formal system. They have to keep proper accounts. And so that they can access the capital markets to grow and build their businesses. And once they do that, when they get into the position where they have to pay taxes, they will be paying taxes at a much higher rate. But unless we can break that barrier of informality, we are restricting the growth that can exist in the country. And so more needs to be done to bring those entities, the micro and the small, into the formal. Madam Speaker, I want to address what the Minister said about the MSMEs on Tuesday. She spoke about set-aside provisions to ensure that a part of government's revenues would be set aside for the MSMEs. That was announced by that minister in 2019 and announced again in 2020. The former Minister of Finance. The former Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, it has taken 7 years. Another announcement by the minister on the same thing. I don't know what has happened in the 7 years, but when I talk to people in the sector, them say no. But we have another big announcement made on Tuesday that those set-aside provisions will for procurement. So to be clear, we're talking about ensuring that government, who is the largest player in the economy, sets aside particular sums that MSMEs can participate in procurement. 7 years later, there has been no meaningful progress made on this. Now, when we talk about growth and the need to grow the economy, this is a low-hanging fruit that we can implement. If our MSMEs can participate more in government procurement, their businesses will grow. They will employ more people. They'll pay more GCT, more income tax. That's how you grow the economy. So there are things that are within the control of the government that the government can do to ensure that we facilitate growth. And I would say to you, Minister, the sector is looking for action here. No more talk, not a bag of mouth. Action here. They have waited patiently for 7 years, and they have not seen any movement. Madam Speaker, on the emerging sectors, Jamaica has genuine opportunities in digital services, agro-processing, logistics, the creative industries, and cannabis. And these are not abstract possibilities, these are real. The foundations already exist. What is missing is the deliberate policy support, access to capital, and the regulatory frameworks that will allow these sectors to move beyond potential to actual contribution. And again, if we are serious about growing the economy, these are the sectors that we need to give priority to. Underpinning this, Madam Speaker, is the question of exports, because Jamaica will never generate the kind of wealth its people deserve by simply selling to the 3 million of us here. We have to look outwards, and looking outwards is not just the diaspora, it is in many other countries, to grow the value of what we produce, to build industries that can compete on the world stage, and to ensure that more earnings from the industries stay in Jamaica and benefit Jamaican workers and communities. That is the direction our growth agenda points. And it is the direction that this country needs to be moving in with considerably more urgency than what we have been seeing from the government. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is at a critical point in the vulnerabilities that were always there. The structural fiscal pressures that predated Melissa, the chronically low growth that has kept living standards stagnant for too long, the public institutions that were not ready when the moment demanded them, and the Jamaicans who, as always, carried more than their share of the burden while waiting on the government's response. The question is, the government's budget was supposed to answer what happens next. How does this country recover, and how does it grow in a way that actually changes people's lives? The budget that has been presented falls short in this regard. Falls short. It falls short for the woman in Sablamar who lost her shop and is hoping for some ease to the predicament that she faces so that she can send her children to school. It falls short for the man in Mobile whose car was destroyed in the hurricane and who wants to get his taxi business back up and running. It falls short for the man in Katadupa, the farmer who we need to produce so that we can import less and we can supply our hotels. And it falls short for the NHT contributors whose monies continue to be diverted away from the institution it was meant to serve by a government that once opposed that very practice. Madam Speaker, I want to be clear about what this side of the House represents in this moment. We're not here simply to oppose. We are here because accountability is what democracy requires. And because the Jamaican people deserve a parliament that takes their responsibility seriously and discharges it honestly.
That's right.
So when we critique the government's budget, it is because the choices made in that document have real consequences for the people. And the people deserve to know that those of us on this side of the chamber are examining those choices carefully and offering a genuine alternative. Madam Speaker, Jamaica's best days are not behind us. They are ahead of us. If we are willing to make the choices that will get us there. We are not a small country with small ambition. We are a small island that has already shown the world what Jamaica is capable of. And we have barely scratched the surface of what we can become. Madam Speaker, we have presented an alternative to what the government has proposed. We have sought to balance the lives of the people while balancing the books. We have looked at the impact of this hurricane and the devastation it has had on so many Jamaicans. And we believe that the path forward, growing the economy, is the only sustainable way that we can lift the living standards for all Jamaican people. Thank you very much, Madam.
House leader.
Madam Speaker, we thank the member for his spirited contribution. We will continue the budget debate next Tuesday, where we will hear from the leader of the opposition. And then to remind the House that we return on the 19th of March, where we will hear from the Prime Minister. 24th, where we will hear from, yes, the 19th, where we will hear from the Prime Minister. That's what we are. So, Madam Speaker, it's not intended for us to do any further business today. I ask that the House be adjourned for a date, for Tuesday the 17th of March 2026.
The question is that the House do now adjourn to Tuesday, March 17, 2026. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. This honorable House now stands adjourned.
Wow. I wonder what the Prime Minister go plan to come say now. Sorry for him. They keep reminding him about a lot of promises, a lot of things he said he was going to do for over almost different years. And they're not yet out do. They're not yet have done so. What a condition. But we will hear to listen what he has to say next week. Okay, so that's it for the budget. The annual budget. Whatever. Okay, let me move this out of the way. Ouch. Yes. I didn't prepare to show myself, but being as, So thank you for joining. Until later. Anyone on here that haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe before you go. Yes, that is the end of that. And I will catch you guys later. Yeah. I didn't come on 2 nights. I always come on every night, but 2 nights I wasn't feeling well, tired and wasn't feeling well. So I just rested up those 2 nights. So I want to come on tonight. I don't know if things will change, but if it is the Lord's will, I'm gonna try and come on tonight. I never fix up myself to show myself today. I never plan to show myself at all, but I don't know why I do. But anyway, I appreciate you guys coming on here. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming on here to watch the budget. I think give it title good because if I move so fast, me just get put a little short thing. Me go change the title on the thing, cause I set it up from morning and the thing wouldn't work. I have to end the live stream 3 times and go back on. And it's the 3rd time now we started working. So I never get to title it properly. So I'll fix that when I'm done. Yeah. And guys, please bear with me. I don't have the proper, I don't have a laptop yet. The laptop I have cannot do the live streaming, but I'm hoping and praying to get one soon. I don't know how soon, but I'm going to try and get one soon that I can do better streaming. And that's because I have to be catching up the thing and book and all kind of something. And we decide to say most nights I'm on here, I have a topic. And my pray and ask God I pray over my channel and ask God to monetize it so I can come on here and do them because something here and God has blessed me that I can do it. But I don't have the proper things yet. But by God's help and God's grace, I know one day, He will provide me with a laptop soon and very soon so I can get to do it better, you know. But you know, when we you want to do certain things, you have to be creative. You can just sit down, fold our hands up and sit down and wait for certain things, you know. You have to be creative and do what we have to do. Yeah, we have to be creative and do what we have to do. So thank you for joining everybody. So this is me now, you know, being creative and show let me tell you what the title um of the meeting of the thing. It is annual budget presentation, fixing the now, building the future. That is the title, but I didn't get the time to write the title properly because this thing was doing me a problem and so my just start over and over again, you know. But anyway, whenever I get the proper let me say tools then. Whenever I get the proper tools, I know I will learn and I will handle things better. You know, I couldn't even find a proper place in the house to put the thing. Yesterday I was doing a simple live, and I found that spot, and it was so, you know, cloudy, and the internet slowing up. And luckily, I had some nice one and two nice people in the chat. What the person said, can you please fix it properly so I can read the caption? And I tried my best, and it just turned like how it did yesterday. Today, which was I prepared for this from morning. Prepared the title and every little thing and every little thing. When we started, no notification going out. We end that one. I fix another one. I end that live, start another one. Notification not going out. I say, mercy God. After from morning, me I plan and I prepare. And I tried it. I text my daughter and say, Abby, the notification not going out. Not even me. Not even my device can't go on it. We say, what is this? And I end it and I started the third time. She said, restart it. I did it the third time and it go through. I said, thank God. So the most part I didn't catch. It hurt. The main fun part I didn't catch, but thank God He allowed me to catch a few parts. But guys, me tell you say, God will help me to buy one laptop. I must. I don't want to have the long time when He can't do what I want to do. I must, if I God's will. God, He's going to provide me with one so I can get to do my things neater and better. So guys, please bear with me. You know, please bear with me, you know, for trying to be creative. And you know, sorry about that. Please bear with me trying to be creative here so I can you know, put these things across. And I'm so thankful. I'm so very thankful for the people who stayed on and listen, guys, they could go to a better channel where they're showing their things clearly and prettier. They could go, but they chose to stay with me. They come and they stay on a while and then leave. You know, they stay and then leave. You know, and I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that so much. They didn't have to do that. I miss me plan to show myself, you know. But sure, I'm not really where myself stay. They didn't have to stay with me, and you guys stay with me and trust me. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And oh God, I actually don't know how much I appreciate that. So one day it will be better because I know the God I serve. I know the God I serve, and I know that my God is going to provide. You see, let me tell you something people don't understand. Anything you want, just ask God and He will provide it for you. I'm asking God and I'm depending on Him for a laptop. And I know He's going to provide me one. Because the me and the God that I serve, I know I am going to get one soon and very soon. I am. Because it's when you ask God for something, God have a way of making you get the things that you wonder. Yes, good speech, girl. Mr. Samantha, this give me trouble with it start. Samantha from morning, me do the thumbnail, you know. Come say, yes, Yesterday, me did do a live yesterday for the same parliament something. And which part me setting that the out it couldn't show good. Anyway, one or two people stay on and then me get 3 subscribers, me shock and everything. And there's a person, and a very nice person. And say they want to read it properly and they want to do this and I tell the person say me not the right something so I pay problem. Today now Samantha I search around the whole house and me find this spot. It show clearer. Me can see show very clear everything. But Samantha, me start the first live. No notification I go to nobody. When me test my device, me not get it and I'm say, God, what is? I'm want to keep on the front, you know. And me end that live and start again, Samantha. Same thing. I me try to text Abby the 30 and say, Abby, no notification no go to. She start again. By she first, by she there school and by she first start again. Me try and me get it. I tell the third or fourth time. So me not get to title it properly. Cause I wonder if who click on if them know what me I talk about. Cause me not get to title it properly. Me go write annual whatever. Me never get to title it right everything. Anyway, me can make every. Cause there's some people doing it too, you know. So me can't allow. Me can't make everyone where do YouTube take the same because we have problem with YouTube too. So in a way, we're gonna make it steer. I mean not find out other way putty, make it look more understandable, you know. And girl, me go on and make it a little make catch a little it's sweet man, it's sweet bud. It's sweet me oh Julian. It's sweet me oh Julian Robinson bringing up some things where them said they would do for like it's sweet me. I mean, and you know what sweet me when I say Madam Speaker, this other say Madam Speaker, her husband. It's sweet, but now you go here when the husband now come to go give his presentation or whatever few or when they say more the 17 or whatever, I don't know. But you go see, you go listen to film lies and things that we more talk about. Let me draw the curtain because to me did me have to shut the curtain so we can see better view in here. So I go open by the curtain, me soon come. Yeah. So thank you guys so much, man, for 2 nights when I come on, I never feel well at all. Never feel well. And me just me fight it and no, don't really fight it. Me take my tablet, take a tablet and iron tablet and go to my bed. And me overwork and I was stressing out over I'm not supposed to stress out, but I was worried over certain situation. But anyway, family said me decide so well now, just calm down now so. But the amount of work with the Sunday, I shouldn't do too much. And yes, my plans when I do, still end up. And if they say me now do not much, me still end up do a lot. But anyway, thank God I'm here. And I appreciate all of you. All of you guys. More stay and we don't know so till I be come from school. And she come now, me go catch my bath. And move on do a live later. Me not no topic later, you know. Me not no topic later. But me just come on like usual. You know? I know I'm glad to do them live here too. Because at nights, I don't have no topic. I just open the thing and just talk with my friend. And so I just lay down there until somebody come on and say something. Let me just, get up and start and join. So, I'm praying to feel much better later. So I can come. And I'm coming along to talk with me people. Let me know anything say me desert them. My man, if it's say me, me leave them alone. Because I mean, one or two of them text me sometimes, still want me come on. So, the time I hold a fresh later, prepare myself and just come on, come chat to them later. I busy in a meeting. I don't know when she reach here, but I was going to end the live. I said, no, I'm not in. I'm going to talk with you so till later. So even if I come on later, then at least we talk to them now. Although later would be a different set of people. So, let me, let me see. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say, and I'm run out. Somebody talk to me in the comment section so that we can continue. And good. I don't know what next to say. I am. Somebody talk to me that we can continue, please. Ask me a question or something so I can continue my what I'm saying. Oh boy, 10 person just looking at me like that. Am I that ugly? That 10 of you just looking at me like that. I'm so like even when the parliament session was going on, so much person wasn't on here. I guess you guys long to see me. Anyway, just like, share, and subscribe when you're on. Yes, like, share, and subscribe while you're on. Please and thank you. Yes, like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Send up some heart, send up some love, and thumbs up. Me never plan to show myself, but me didn't know me. Anyway, I'm in the house, so I guess you guys not cursing me out tonight. That's how me look, so. Anyway. I don't know, I can't. That's true, in the house. And I be know, should have come already, Samantha, but she's in a meeting, she text me a call. I'm saying, oh God, Samantha, from the day them time I'm sick like dog. Me no know. I cannot feelings, I cannot terrible feelings. But me feel good no. So I make you say time no, you know what I mean? That's why time more and go on. Soon me can bed and I say, oh girl, soon me can bed last night. That's when I be do class in 7:30. Me done be bed long time. She said, Mommy, take one tablet and go and eat it and go sleep. And that me do. And sleep. When I woke up, class supposed to finish 8:30. And when I woke up, it was after 9. I said, wait, I'm still there class. She said, yes, it's still there class. And then me fall back asleep. Girl, I sleep all this morning. Me supposed to wake up 7, at least 5 o'clock. Get up and cook. Me cook some rice. If you cook some rice and everything, girl, me was sleep and she wake me up. Me say, go outside. And me flop, girl, and me get up and cook a little pot of rice. And me did bake one chicken for Sunday, one big chicken. And it's only 2 of it. So we have to take time with it, So me get the baked chicken and I be the baked pudding Sunday to Samantha. Me bake chicken and pudding Sunday. Girl, the pudding nice. It is a day that pudding they want me bake nice. And this one is sweet. I'm gonna put all yam in this pudding here. So me bake pudding and chicken Sunday. So when me get up and pack our lunch bag, heat up our when me cook rice, man, so rice me have to heat over. Me microwave with the meat here. Put our drinks and our snacks in our bag. Me she rush. We go feed the chickens and she have a bath. And she not teach near like one time. From last week, she's teaching at a further distance now. Because the one where she had to know soon end because she was just working in somebody's space. Somebody went and leave. So she was just working for the 8 months. But the 8 months not finished. What happened now? The 8 months we supposed to done May. But somebody sent her a link last week Sunday. Where she have so it's a permanent job. A permanent job now. She get no. I know somebody space she in anymore. But the thing is this. And really the school that she wants to stay where she was at the school that she left from, But nobody wants her to leave either. Nobody wants her to leave. But she said to me, she said to everybody, even the principal of this school that she left, say, after the 8 months, she'll be sitting down at home. No money coming, bills to pay, food to eat. she needs stuff. And we don't know when she'll pick up on that job. So they encourage her to take the one where she will a full time thing. So she took that one and she didn't have to do an interview, man. The principal at this school that she left call and make some talk. And talk my talk for she get the job, you know, but him don't know so when he say only a cement up, she not have to do an interview. And she get the job so fast, and them said to her, say, you don't have to do no interview, you know, because so and so. But I be right there when this principal called that principal at the other school, but she was keeping it quiet. And so them at that school where she's no, they are fretting because them know say once as soon as a vacancy, a clear vacancy for her down this school that she left, she's coming back to this school because the principal at this school tell her to make him a promise that she's coming back. She said, he said to her, I'll lend you to that other school. I'll lend you to them. So, yes, darling, thank you, Samantha. So the person said, I'll lend you. And the principal, girl, my day was good today. The other day, them did terrible. Oh, God, Samantha, terrible. But today we're all right. So the principal now of that school now said to him, say, I'll lend, the other principal said, I'll lend you to us, you know. And then the principal said, a joke may make. And she said, no, I'm not joke, it's true, because I was there. You understand? So she get a job, a full-time job at the other school now, but as soon as there's a vacancy down here, today, I was talking to a friend from the school that she leaves. Yes, thank you, darling. Thank you. It's raining and snowing again. Lord Jesus, missus. How are you going? No, the other day me hear say somebody from New York text me, you know, and tell me said it cool down and tell me what degrees it was and every little thing. That was yesterday. No, that's the day before. It says that again. Oh God, sorry about that. Oh my God. Keep warm, my girl. Keep warm. Anyway. So I'm hoping that September, to get to understand, they make their position back in the school that she's at September. The school that she left, they make their, you know, spot. So I'm praying and hoping that she's nearer back to September. Yeah, because I spoke with somebody from New York twice. Because when the person commanded a big ambulance to my son, I laughed till I week. The person named Carlos from New York. He came to Puerto Rico when he live in New York. And him tell me a date, I no see him today, so I don't know what go on. So and him tell me, oh God, just keep warm, my girl. You see them kind of change the climate up and down, up and down, up and down. You make you sick, you know. Pneumonia bad, you know, to keep warm and be careful, you know. You make you sick bad, you know. Yeah, I know you are one wide up. I know, man. Me know, man. Me know. Yes, girl. Today's a day and a half. When me tell God goodness, Samantha, when me turn on the live, 3 to 4 times it couldn't work. I'm trying my last time. But me see 10 somebody jump on, 12 somebody, me say, for me channel this. And girl, and they stayed a while to when they come on the app. And me tell the truth. Me get quite a amount of views when me never speak. Pneumonia? Yes, it's about the girl that lost that transit, but you see, that's why I tell you now. Samantha, you know, me notice myself every time me feel sick nowadays. It means warm water me feel sick. It means when I mean cold water me feel better. True, but the water is so cold. So guess what me do now? Me just barely warm the water, just barely and choke. I love when the water cold. And last time I feel use some very cold one to feel better. And he helped me, but after that, me know start stifle and you know, Lord Jesus, missus, we don't know what going there. Them time here, this means to have rain. You know what we get everything in a one. Everything in a one, Samantha. You know what we realize we get from rain. We never get rain that much, you know. A drought, we used to have a drought, terrible drought. Why everything outside green and pretty? A rain we get rain like wow. We never used to, but we don't be here then when we reading in the news about 2 weeks ago, them say climate change. Like in May, when we used to have no, May they said like June, when you get rain June, we now get that again. And the June to come again to come from May. But from before May to come, that one no. But even this month, and March now. And March used to be a very dry month. And now it's a very rainy month. Because we get a lot of rain from the day. Yes, God, all the time. All the time, my dear, God is good all the time, all the time. So me get I see right now the program done, and me still have 12 somebody on here. I get 14 likes. I me get subscriber too. Me know how much get hit. When me end the live, me will know exactly how much me get. I me remember how much me did there. You know, sometimes say God is good, man. God is good. God is good. God is good. He works in a way no one understand. You know, we get about. I said, how much we did there? How much we did this morning? No, I don't know if I do about. We get about 3 subscribers, 3 to 4. And I'm grateful to the people who give me them trees. And then my girl, then if you company program, much just subscribe. I remember saying me not have the laptop, me not set up properly, me not have the right stuff. So when I see subscriber go, me from my studio, I say, wow, God, and God. Look here. It's when you bless. But we know Samantha. By mountain or next month, and next mountain or next mountain, I pray God provide me with a laptop. I pray God become a really, really, really one. You know that we can get free. No, me sit today with a book, me fear set up sitting back. It kinda hard, but me decide to me have to do it. Me have to do it. You understand me? But me know say God soon provide me with man. Me I pray. I mean no. I mean I work towards it too. You understand me? I work towards it. I work towards it. So anyway, me not get it by say no. By April mountain, God spare life. Me no know. But me I try my best. Because me can't get to do the things properly. You know? How when the man says he want to read the things when he can't read it because true and the letters them turn the caption them turn back way. I them say yesterday, caption them say, oh God. Me cannot feel shame, but you know when I'm proud of myself. You know when me proud of myself, when the man say in love, see how me creative. Yeah, and the man say in love is how me creative, and that's how my spirit feel up and say thank you, Jesus. Because he could have just rude to me and gone. You know, he could have kind of some of them disgusting. But the man he was I never man or woman. It's a male name, so I get a male. And the person said, I love to see how you are creative. And then stay and watch. I'm feel say I'm give more subscription too. You understand me? So at them time, so when I do certain things, I have to start from somewhere. You know, just get up and just big up in our life, just like that. You have to start from somewhere. You have to start, and these things are stepping stone thing, a stepping stone thing, a stepping stone thing, a stepping stone to greatness. You understand me? Well, all right, look at this. One time I couldn't do end screen. All right. Me that have laptop, you know, but my sister can go school. And when more and then when she come now, me can't use because she have to do class again. So you see, my one may have an old time thing or something. All right. Only one time a week we can get use our laptop with and screen up on Saturday or so. And not even one day because she have to use it. We get the weekend we get to put on some end screens. All right. This is a God when I pray to God, remember Solomon? When they asked him what he wanted, he said he needed wisdom. And God gave him an understanding because the Bible says him asked for kind of simple thing then. You understand? When he could have asked people ask him money and they want house and they want it was right, but him asked wisdom. All right. And me know did it last night and me said to God to God. I want to learn, but I said one day Android phone, other Android phone can put on in screen. No, I was using me accept iPhone can do it first. They say yes, iPhone phone. I have an iPhone. But he little, he find it, and my glasses break, and it's on an old mirror. So see this, if I strain the eyes and pull me, I hurt my head. I'm say, God, me use fear for couple, about 2 nights, me thank God. Come in there, have fear, and me use it. But you not comfortable. All right. Last night, no, I said to myself, say, I want if Android can do it. So I Google it. Yes, Android can. Let me go, Android can do it for truth. But it a little bit bigger than the iPhone. So we can see a little clearer, but it's still uncomfortable to make it go better. This morning, no, me lay down Samantha girl. And I said, then if Android can do it, what make why tablet can do it? I have a tablet. I remember about 2 years ago. About 3 years ago, I buy. So me say, so when me Google it, tablet can use. And girl, at the tablet, me have I put on the screen, it plain, it big and plain. Me find my dashboard and me find my things and I meet somebody did we ask somebody how to put on the screen and teach Abby and Abby teach me but I remember. And I me put on my end screen and myself on most of my videos them. And cause end screen that's what me know, like for example, you put on like 3 or 4 the most videos on a video. That's what. So you have somebody about watch one video yet, and when if you don't, you see four videos just jump up on it and that you call it end screen. So you know if you so suppose you want to watch another one of the person's video, you know if you come off, you can just touch one of that, or it sometimes automatically come on and continue to watch the person's program. You get more views that way. There. So that we do most side to that don't make a video. Even prayer, I'm gonna make me. I do the voiceover. And I know me not get people to because I pay and screen me I put in and 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 ads in screen ads. Hello, Brian. Thank you for joining, my dear. Thank you, and please subscribe. Thank you. And girl, I put in a whole heap of ads today. I put in ads. I work. But it's little and today kind of cool. I mean, and just she was cool too. I was little on my sheet. I put in a whole heap of get up on my channel till you look. I know you know what I feel proud of myself again. Me pray for get my diamond that will help me. That can get my that can do me. God help me that we can do it. I'm go to you know, Papa. I'm supposed to call. Yeah, so let me supposed to call me. I mean, like people call me name, but I'm not sure. Maybe I know me. Yeah, and me and so God help me know that me go this far that me cannot do my life. So I just gotta go provide a laptop for me too. He's going to, and soon too. Because God is a God. Anything you want, you have to just pray, and He will provide. Miracle happens, and so no say we soon can do it better. But wow, it's gonna be a learning process. I'm gonna learn now. But somebody teach me already, how to do the streaming thing, but it look hard. So that is another thing. Maybe that will take me 1 3 days to learn. Maybe. Because I don't remember how to do it. During elections, somebody did taught us how to do it, and we were doing it. That is me, Abby. We're doing it in the election period here. So she used her lab, so maybe I want to know if I go, so live stream them, make it look clearer and better. No, me tell to talk. I go end. I can't wait till I become here. I go end this and go have a bath. Let me make some money and garlic, so this will go drink a half tea. No, I be there. Oh gosh. Because just she come. I appreciate you guys' company, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Brian, you're gone. Someone you're gone too, girl. I appreciate you guys so much, so much, so much, so much. Oh, oh, I see the hearts. Thank you for the hearts, yeah, girl. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No, come on, tonight, look at two, Samantha, I'm done, I'm going to have this and just eat my dinner and just relax. I'm coming back tonight. Now, I'm going to talk tonight. Sit down and look. We have some African friends who me miss. We miss them company. And some Canadian. And the person from New York, them to stay so long again. It's most not Amber Alert, so I go on, but I never go see him tonight. Oh boy. Can find some nice people. You didn't know this place though. I'm kind of tired. Anyway, I'm gonna rest here. So I'm going to get some rest now. So nice having all of you on here. The time I get dark. Like we're gonna go fall. What time now? Time I get dark, man. I know dark. I know at 4:34 p.m. and look how look like we have some rain. There's a play rain of fall with the dark. Look like we're not fall tonight with the dark bad. So anyway, I go cool up. I go have a bath now. I'm not try to stay on the live until I become. But I don't know. When she done, I go text her she done. I can't wait. I mean, when Beda call me, call me. What you say? Okay. Max, if she soon come, she text me 20 minutes when she text me. I may get hungry. I'm still a meeting, but I can't get the meeting, man. Sure. See. No, it never did blue. Oh, guess what, Samantha? Maybe the other phone. Because it was one of your phone with the turn on moderator. So maybe the one we use text first is the second phone. You understand me? So me put in a moderator. But after that, now, I see text with another phone. I say, okay, so two of them get it. Oh, she the pan way come. So she soon reach. She about 5 miles from here. So I'm going to stay upon her till she come. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to stay. I get hungry. I can't anytime I get hungry. Anytime I'm hungry, I cannot feel hungry. Yes, I'm on 2 phones now, girl. When the 2 of them. Yes, you are. Me or she say?
Department meeting end late because member said we're foolish instead of one that department so the person did that we put plans in place with things. But we still have a come up there tomorrow with the put here because rain start fall and you know I'm going to arrange about this.
Yes, rain start like that. Look what I do. And not even 5 o'clock yet. Look outside. Not even 5 o'clock yet. So she said, fall. She not taxi coming and she said rain falling. You see how dark? Me hear rain a come now. Me hear the rain coming now. Wow. So I'm going to try now any lemon just wait till she come and done. Oh boy. See there? Rain started now. Rain start. So I'm going to just stay on here until she come now. I'm going to go to the town. I don't think so. I'm going to text her. Man. Rain, 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 rain. And me saw like them on the rooftop. Jesus. Me can't wet me no wet up, me no sick. Me never got to go be so like them, you know. Me put the charge. No, them go wet up. Oh boy. Rain start. Huh? So later, here, guys, later, we go eat something. Something. We really gone this time. So later, here, until later. Not already gone. Turn me back until later, here. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much. So later.